What happens when two of late-night television's biggest personalities go head-to-head in front of a live audience here and one of them refuses to back down? What followed between Conan O'Brien and Jimmy Kimmel on Jimmy Kimmel Live became one of the most unforgettable and uncomfortable interviews in recent television memory. It began as any typical late-night appearance might. Conan O'Brien walked onto the stage, greeted by roaring applause. Dressed in a sharp navy suit and wearing his signature confident smirk, he looked every bit the veteran entertainer. Jimmy Kimmel, seated behind his desk, welcomed Conan with the kind of professional enthusiasm expected from a seasoned host. But beneath that surface, subtle tension flickered. "Thanks for having me," Conan said, adjusting his tie. "Though I have to say, your green room coffee tastes like it was brewed in a gym sock." The audience laughed. Jimmy chuckled. It seemed harmless enough for typical Conan wit. But Jimmy's reply came with a bite. "We spend our budget on more important things, like making sure the show gets renewed every year." The jab was subtle but pointed. Conan smirked, not missing a beat. Renewal anxiety. I remember those days back when Network XX actually returned my calls. What began as playful ribbing gradually escalated. Jimmy's tone sharpened. "Some of us adapt to changes in TV. Others a broken bar retreat to podcasting." Conan raised an eyebrow. "Retreating?" he echoed. "I call it choosing a platform where I can speak freely without network suits dictating my punchlines." Jimmy shot back. "Must be nice. Some of us have responsibilities, staff, real stakes." From there, the tone darkened. Conan leaned forward. "You want to talk about real stakes? Because I remember someone who spent years sucking up to Network XX while others were actually taking creative risks." Jimmy's smile cracked. "Taking risks? Is that what you call getting handed The Tonight Show, a broken bar, and losing it in under a year?" The studio air shifted. The audience, once gleeful, fell silent. Conan's voice dropped. "Hand it to me, Jimmy. I earned that job. 15 years of writing, performing unlike others who rode in on Adam Carolla's coattails." Jimmy flushed. "At least I didn't flame out so badly that I became a cautionary tale." What had started as late-night banter had spiraled into a raw, personal showdown. Conan's height seemed to grow as he straightened. "Let's talk about talent. Who actually writes their own jokes and who has a team scripting every spontaneous moment?" Jimmy snapped. "Everyone has writers. But not everyone alienates theirs," Conan fired back. "Funny how so many of your best jumped ship for Colbert last year. Or how your head writer quit after you screamed at him over a single joke." Jimmy's face turned red. "That's out of line." "You sure?" Conan pressed. "Because I've heard the stories. The ones about you backstabbing other hosts, bad-mouthing peers behind the scenes." Jimmy stood, furious. "You've got some nerve." "This is my house." "No, Jimmy. This is a network-owned set. And if your ratings drop, they'll replace you without blinking." Jimmy lashed out. "At least I have a show. At least people under 30 still know who I am." There was silence. Conan stood too now, towering over Jimmy. "You think success means viral clips and hashtags?" "I don't need to chase every trend. I don't need to please XX. I can just be funny." Jimmy shot back. "Because no network wants you anymore." "My podcast exists," Conan said calmly, "because I chose freedom over selling out. I didn't crash. I adapted without compromise." Jimmy's voice rose. "You want to talk integrity? What about honoring commitments? You trashed your old network in every interview." "I did honor them," Conan replied. "I did my job until the network panicked. And when they pushed me out, I didn't go around sabotaging others to feel better about myself." The confrontation had fully exploded. Years of competition and unspoken animosity were unraveling Live. The audience watched in stunned silence. Jimmy stepped closer. "You couldn't handle The Tonight Show. You cracked." Conan's expression darkened. "You've made a career off other people's failures, waiting to swoop in now like a vulture." Jimmy's jaw clenched. "You're bitter. Your career peaked 20 years ago." "I'm not bitter," Conan said. I just never became the thing I used to mock. You did. The air was electric now. Jimmy was nearly nose to nose with Conan. At least I'm still relevant. When's the last time anyone cared what you had to say? Conan paused, then replied coldly, better to be respected by a few than desperate for attention from many. Jimmy's reply was venomous. Your podcast only exists because no one offered you another TV gig. Conan's voice remained calm. And yet, somehow, I've never had to humiliate myself on air to stay visible. Jimmy barked. You talk like you're above all this, but you've been riding the I was wronged narrative for years. I told the truth. Conan snapped. That's not a narrative, it's fact. You're stuck in the past, Jimmy said, exhausted now. We moved on. You moved down, Conan replied. You became what the industry rewards: a safe, predictable, mediocre. Jimmy pointed toward the camera. This interview's over. Oh, now it's over, Conan said. Now that someone's finally calling you out. Jimmy turned to the crew. Commercial break. Now. No, Conan interrupted, stepping between Jimmy and the camera. We're finishing this. Tension hung like smoke in the room. The control room panicked. The audience was motionless. This is my show, Jimmy growled. It stopped being your show, Conan said, when you turned it into a grudge match. Jimmy looked for a way out, eyes darting to the wings. Security, he called. Conan froze. You're calling security on me? You're being hostile, Jimmy muttered. Conan laughed bitterly. No, Jimmy. I'm just finally being honest. Two guards appeared, visibly uncomfortable. Jimmy nodded at them. Escort Mr. O'Brien out. Conan looked at them, then back at Jimmy. This is who you are now? Really? Jimmy's anger had faded, replaced by something closer to shame. Conan stood tall. I'll leave. But not because you're throwing me out. I'll leave because I refuse to share a stage with someone who represents everything wrong with show business. He turned to the camera. Thank you, folks. Now you've seen what honesty in Hollywood really looks like. As the guards stepped forward, Conan waved them off. I know the way out. And with that, he walked off the stage, leaving behind a studio frozen in stunned disbelief.